There are places for gambling, for taking a bit of a chance. The sea is not one of them. Break the rules here, ignore them, get careless, forget them or think they no longer apply to you, and the results could be devastating. This video is about bunkering, about the transfer of fuel in a marine environment, and it's about the dangers of pollution that go with a routine, day-to-day operation you've done 100 times before. And that's one of the greatest dangers you face, and one of the biggest challenges to you as a professional seaman. Inattention, the danger of taking your eyes and your mind off the job. But get it wrong just once, gamble with your cargo just once, and the world will not thank you for it. One analysis of all marine insurance pollution claims showed that 37% were caused by bunker spills. Those spills resulted in claims worth tens of millions of dollars. If you're dealing with oil, then you might as well be dealing with dynamite.
We have a nomination for you, 450 metric tons fuel oil, 180 centi stoke. So please let me know when you are ready to receive this quantity. And,
in this situation, we're showing a bunker ship dealing with a tanker. The same principles, however, the same risks, apply to ships of all kinds and whatever size. Once bunkering operations are underway, you're faced with two particular potential hazards: spillage, which means pollution, and fire.
Tell the crew to be fore enough standby for the lines of Valley.
Both can be reduced by safe working practices that start before the transfer of fuel oil begins. Perhaps the hardest rule of all, you've guessed it, smoking. Smoking should now be prohibited, and the radar is switched off. All doors and hatches opening topside are closed. This crew don't believe in taking chances. By playing safe, by following local port bunkering regulations, they help reduce risk to a minimum.
Hello, how are you? Fine, just the papers work.
No matter what size of ship is involved in the transfer of bunkers, the rules of the business remain the same. With formalities concluded, it's the chief engineer of the customer vessel who now assumes formal responsibility for the transfer operation of fuel aboard his ship. By studying the bunkering checklist, he can ensure nothing is forgotten or overlooked. Any chief engineer, if he's wise, however, will always involve other crew members in these operations. Not only does that help them in their training and advancement as they move up in their chosen profession, it also gives him another pair of eyes. One of the most frequent causes of spillage and accidental discharge on ships of all kinds has its origins in the transfer of fuel to the onboard storage tanks. By carrying out checks like these to ensure the correct systems are isolated and all outboard discharge manifolds closed and sealed, these engineers can make sure the incoming bunkers go where they're supposed to go and not over the side into the sea in a major pollution incident that will cost their company a heavy fine. Although it is the master who carries the ultimate responsibility for everything that goes on aboard his ship and risks heavy fines if bunkering operations go wrong, everyone suffers after a pollution incident. An accident now, a moment's carelessness, and this engineer will find he's done his own career prospects no good at all. Throughout bunkering operations, on ships large and small, on tankers, gas carriers, container vessels, or general cargo ships, whenever bunkering takes place, the responsible officers of both ships take fuel samples aboard the bunker ship. These samples will be taken, sealed and then signed for. Later they can be analysed to ensure the customer got what he paid for. Meanwhile, aboard the customer ship and before the start of fuel transfer operations, anti-pollution precautions continue. Every spill matters, both large and small. This ship has a routine of preparing for even the smallest and for making sure that the things they might need are ready and instantly to hand, before the hoses are even connected. If there is a spill, then seconds will count. Time really is money. Time is money on smaller ships too, on general cargo carriers as well as oil tankers. Every ship, both large and small, must take anti-pollution and fire precautions seriously. So, position fire extinguishers nearby. Locate sawdust bag. Position adequate drip trays. Mops, squeegees and broom to hand. Flake out hoses. Now the customer checks volume and tonnage on board the bunker ship before delivery starts. They'll do so again when delivery is over to verify the quantity transferred. While the deckhand sets up the safety precautions they hope will never be needed, others check that the scupper plugs are in place. Then, if there is spillage, it can be contained aboard ship and, once again, save your owners massive fines.
Okay, stop.
It's the point of transfer that offers most risk of spillage. All the nuts must be inserted and tightened, first by hand, then by wrench. All other manifold valves must be checked before transfer of bunkers can start. Are they all closed, blank flanged and oil tight? Because if they're not, check. To check costs you nothing, and whether you work on tankers or terminals or somewhere in between, it could still save you a fortune.
Yes, we are ready to receive the bunkers. Please start easy your pump. Easy your pump.
Yeah, now we are going to start the cargo. Stand by, please. Control deck. Yeah, Chief, they are ready and you can start pumping now. Okay, open.
This, particularly, is the moment when everyone involved needs to be switched on, concentrating. If hoses haven't been connected correctly, you're about to find out. Now.
Very low pressure on the beginning, and I will call you back to increase pressure later on, okay?
The bunker barge crew starts the transfer slowly. As the flow of oil starts, crews on both vessels check that the hose is dry and tight. The live manifold must never be left unattended during bunkering operations.
Okay, we inspect our manifold. There is no any leakage. Everything is okay.
VHF radio contact between this man, the engineers in the engine rooms, and those taking soundings can ensure that, if things do go wrong, emergency drills can come into use immediately. Remember, the emergency stop button is there to be pressed if needed. Plan for the worst. Once again, the engineers take nothing for granted. Another check is made now to ensure bunkers are entering the right tanks. At this stage too, ullage levels are all important. No tank should ever exceed 98% capacity to permit expansion of the bunkers to avoid overflow.
Stand by 10 minutes notice to complete the bunkering.
10 minutes more to complete bunkering.
Yeah, okay, 10 minutes notice to stop the cargo. Thank you.
Valerie. Stop pumping.
Before they start disconnecting, the bunker barge master will wait a few minutes to allow the bunkers to settle before final readings. Once these are done, the chief engineer takes a final measure of level and the temperature of the fuel oil is checked. Once both parties are happy that the fuel oil to be paid for has actually been delivered, both ships can prepare to separate.
Okay, please order your crew to be ready to disconnect the hose.
The act of disconnection, however, is also a time when the danger of an accident, of pollution, dramatically increases. With delivery completed without incident or leak from the hose, all that is left now is the point of connection itself as a potential source of spillage and of pollution. It's the completion of these small but vital tasks, the proper securing of blank flanges and the checking and tightening of all bolts, not just the barest minimum, that makes the difference in this world between the amateur and the professional. Between those crews who are an asset to their ships and those who are a liability, a walking accident just waiting to happen. A routine operation successfully concluded, performed by professionals who know that at sea there is no room for carelessness, for shortcuts. Are you one of them? Or are you one of that dying band of seafarers who still think it's smart to take a bit of a gamble, cut a few corners? If you are, then just remember, sooner or later the odds turn against you. Sooner or later, your luck will run out. Life's like that.